Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Murder Mondays, aka Murderween Mondays. So we're gonna talk about Richard Ramirez, okay? How he got into this life and why he's called the Night Stalker. So let's just get right on into it, okay? So he was born February 28th, 1960 in El Paso, okay? Now, that's the city that sits right on the Mexican border of West Texas, okay? He was the youngest of 7 children, and he was the children of Mexican immigrants, Julian and Mercedes Ramirez, okay? Now, Julian Ramirez had a bad temper, and he was physically abusive, okay? He was an abusive father. Richard became an increasingly disaffected loner at school, and in his teens, he started to spend time with his uncle Mike, aka Miguel. That's what they have here. Now, Mike has served in Vietnam, and he loved to tell his nephew all about his, crimes and stuff, all the things that he had going on over there. And particularly, he liked to talk about all the women that he had took advantage of. Now, you know what I mean by being taken advantage of, right? Okay, the R word. So he would tell his nephew about that. He would show him war crime pictures and also pictures of him taking advantage of women, okay, Vietnamese girls, and then displaying her cut off head. So he's actually opening the door for his nephew to become a freak, a crazy person, okay, a maniac. He's opening that door because let me tell you something. Uncle Mike here, Miguel, he done lost all his screws, and so you would think that he wouldn't show his nephew some of these things, but he did, okay, and this played a part in Richard's life. Okay, so if that wasn't bad enough, at 15, Richard was present when his uncle Mike shot his wife in the face, killing her. So not only have you showed him all of your bad stuff that you did in the war over there, now he's there and he see you kill your wife. Psst. Okay, he's the one that made the monster. Okay, he dropped out of school, Richard, dropped out of school at the age of 17, devoted himself to smoking huge amounts of marijuana, aka marijuana, and listening to heavy metal music, which I'm going to tell you a story about heavy metal music. I was a nurse's aide, and I would go to this lady's room in the nursing home, and she will always complain about her son listening to I Want to Die Tonight music. And I'm like, what is that? So I said, well, if you don't mind, can you explain to me what is I Want to Die Tonight music? And she said it's heavy metal. And I was like, oh God. I just thought that was the most funniest thing I've ever heard. I've never heard anyone compare heavy metal to I Want to Die Tonight music. And that's what she used to always tell him. You always listen to that I Want to Die Tonight music. And I'm like, oh my God. So, but yeah. And she was old. She was like, I think she was about 70 years old, I want to say. Okay. And he was getting involved in petty crime. So Richard was already doomed. Okay. His first murder, around the turn of the decade, he moved from Texas, first to San Francisco and then to Los Angeles. There he switched his drug of choice from marijuana to cocaine, began to listen to obsessively to the music of AC/DC, particularly a song called The Night Prowler, and took to stealing cars to make a living. So basically they say they not slick because they saying that now he's doing all this stuff. He's listening to heavy metal, and now he listens to AC/DC. So now he's getting influence from the music. You get what I'm saying? And it was one song called The Night Prowler, okay? Over the next year, he served 2 brief sentences for stealing cars. after he came out of prison the second time, he committed his first murder. Okay, the victim was a 79-year-old woman named Jenny Vical. On the 28th of June, 1984, she was sleeping in her suburban Los Angeles apartment when Ramirez broke in. He sexually assaulted her, stabbed her to death, and stole her jewelry. And this picture they got of him here, he looks like a nutcase, all right? And, oh, God, what he got in his hand? Jesus. He need to be drowned in the baptismal pool. Yeah, he need to be baptized in a whole lake. But anyway, it was 9 months before he killed again. This time, he attacked a woman named Maria Hernandez as she was entering her apartment. He had come armed with a gun and used it to shoot Hernandez, but miraculously, the bullet was deflected by her keys, and she was simply knocked down. She then played dead as he kicked her prone body. So he kicking her to make sure she was dead, that she wasn't moving. And she did right. She did right by playing dead. She did right. Clearly not yet satisfied, okay, Ramirez then went into the apartment where he found her roommate, Dale, and shot her dead. So he wasn't satisfied what he did to Maria, so he goes into the apartment anyway, and then he sees her roommate Dale, which is a female, and he kills her. I tell you, even this murder failed to satisfy his craving, and that same evening, Ramirez found another victim. Okay, Sa Lian Yu, whom he dragged from her car in the Monterey Park area. Park area? No, sorry, not Monterey. Monterey. Monterey, excuse me, not Monterey Park area. And shot several times. She died the following day. So you out here doing all this kind of stuff, all right? It's like his obsession, his thirst for killing people was growing more and more as he was doing it. That's what I'm thinking. His obsession, and they said, he even said here that his craving for it was growing. It didn't satisfy the craving. So now he's killing more and more and more. Just 3 days later, he struck again. This time, sexually abusing, not killing, an 8-year-old girl. Jesus, Lord, have mercy. I did not see that coming. A baby. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this part too much because I could never understand why anybody would want to bother with children. I just don't understand that. I'm never going to understand it. But why? And I know they're sick in the head. They're sick and they're disgusting. A baby. Like, come on. Oh, Jesus have mercy. A week later, he murdered a couple, Vincent and Maxine Zazara. That's a tongue twister. 6 weeks later, on May 14th, 1985, Ramirez attacked another couple. He began by shooting 65-year-old William Doy in the head, then beat and raped his wife. However, Doy was strong enough to make it to the phone and dial the emergency number before he died. An action that may have well saved his wife's life. 2 weeks later, Ramirez varied his routine a little. Okay. His next victim was 42 years old Carol Kyle, whom he took advantage of after gagging her 11-year-old son and shutting him in a cupboard. Oh, my goodness. Both of them were allowed to live. However, Carol Kyle was able to give the police a good description of her attacker. Wow. Ramirez's bloodlust was now reaching fever pitch. He struck again the next day, attacking two sisters in their 80s, Mabel Bell and Florence Lane. He beat them with a hammer, then threw pentagrams. Oh, he drew, he then drew pentagrams on Bell's body and elsewhere in the apartment. They were found the following day. Mabel was dead, but Florence had survived her injuries. His next victim 3 weeks later was a 29-year-old Patty Higgins, whose throat he cut. Another 10 days brought another 4 attacks. 2 older victims died, while 2 younger women survived. The final rampage began. In the course of one terrible night, he killed 3 victims and left 2 more traumatized. The first 2 victims were a couple in their 60s, Max and Leela Needing, who he shot dead. The same evening, he broke into a house in Sun Valley area where he shot dead. This name is kind of wrong, so I'm going to say Shana. It's Shana wrong, as he slept before raping and beating his wife, some kid, and then tying her up while I don't even want to read this part to you guys. While he took advantage of her 8-year-old son. You know what? If he don't have the death penalty by now, he needs it, because, oh my God, like, are you serious already? Like, come on. These are children. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. The other kid that he tied him up, gagged him, and put him in a cupboard. He was 11 years old. This time, it was an 8-year-old boy that he took advantage of. And last time, it was an 8-year-old girl that he took advantage of. Now, come on, you have got to be sick. That's sickness. It's ridiculous. At this stage, police were still loath to admit that a serial killer was on the loose. Okay? However, when on August 6th, Ramirez shot a couple in their home, non-fatally, then followed up 2 days later by attacking another couple, this time killing the husband and taking advantage of the wife. It was clear that they had to act. A Night Stalker task force was set up, and the press was told about his new menace to the community. Ramirez responded by leaving town briefly, heading back to San Francisco, where he attacked his next victims. Oh, okay. The first attacker, named Peter Pan, and his wife, well, they didn't give the real name, but, Peter Pan, I don't know why they chose Peter Pan, but Peter Pan and his wife, once again killing the man and taking advantage of his wife, and once again leaving satanic symbols there. He then went to Los Angeles in the last week of August, struck for the last time. Okay, the man, 29-year-old William Carnes, survived despite being shot 3 times. His partner, Renata, who had been taken advantage of, identified the car he drove away in, a Toyota station wagon. Another local resident had taken down the registration number. Soon afterwards, the police found the car abandoned. Luck was on their side, and they managed to find a fingerprint left on the vehicle. There was an instant match. The fingerprint identified petty criminal Richard Ramirez. The next day, Ramirez's photo was on the front page of every newspaper in Los Angeles. Ramirez only discovered this himself when he walked into a drugstore in East LA and saw the customers staring at him. He was pounded on, and the police arrived only just in time to save him from being lynched. They wasn't playing with him. They was like, oh, you want to be out here doing all this stuff to people? Okay, we got you. We got you. And when they finally got lucky and got a fingerprint, and they ran that fingerprint, and it came back as him, Richard Ramirez, and they put that face on the newspaper, was the best thing they could have ever done, because he went all, willy-nilly into the store, but surprise, he got the surprise. They jumped on his behind. Okay, they was getting ready to take him out, but the police got there just in time, because they about to do him real dirty. And you know what? They should have. At the trial, Ramirez told the court, "You maggots make me sick. I am beyond good and evil." He was found guilty of 13 counts of murder and sentenced to death. On being told of the verdict, he said, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See you in Disneyland." Oh my gosh. Isn't that crazy? That is weird. See you in Disneyland. And then in the picture, it got his hand with the satanic symbol, the pentagram, in his hand. So it's like, he looked crazy, but I feel as if his father was abusive, okay? That made him being a loner. So let's break it down of why he's the way he is. His father was abusive. They got 7 children. No one is showing, I doubt anyone is showing any type of affection, love, and care, because you got 7 kids. You got to get them fed and dressed. There's no time to whatever. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to put a scenario together how this monster was made. His father was abusive, okay? He went to go stay with his uncle. He been around his uncle. His uncle didn't help at all. His uncle didn't give him any guidance. His uncle didn't show him any love. What he showed him was a world of disaster, okay? He showed him the war crimes that happened over there in Vietnam. And then he showed him pictures of him taking advantage of other women, okay, and killing them. And then he was there when his uncle murdered his wife. So all of this in this guy's head, it made him what he was today, a monster. Okay, I'm not saying he didn't have any loose screws in his head before. He probably have, and it played out, but it was helped. So with that being said, his uncle played a part of this, of making Richard Ramirez of what he is. Okay, so then he went out into the world, and then what I don't like about what they did in this story, in this article, is that they made it seem like because he was listening to heavy metal music, and that heavy metal music influenced him to do these things, especially AC/DC. Now, I don't know how many of you guys ever listen to heavy metal. I try to. I can't get into it, but can anyone out there tell me that heavy metal music has some demonic stuff going on in there? Let me know, because I don't want to touch on that subject if I'm not fully aware of what's in the music, because I don't listen to that kind of music. But every time something was going on, even in movies, somebody got heavy metal music playing in the background, or if they driving crazy down the street, they playing heavy metal music. So I'm just saying, does that kind of music influence people to do crazy things? I mean, it's music, right? I mean, it's music. Music can't tell you what to do, but if it's in a song, do you think it have the part with him? Because that's how they made it seem like in the article. Well, you guys, that's it for Murderween Monday. I will see you tomorrow on my True Crime Tuesday, and yes, you will see the face. So I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this article as much as I love telling you about it. Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you guys later. Bye.